Hello, everyone. Sorry I am late. Ugh, okay, I'm gonna give it like till a couple of minutes to get everybody in here. Um, well, what happened was, for some reason, hey John, hey guys, for some reason, YouTube has taken away the ability to go straight from Google Hangouts to uh, you can't just click it and it'll go on. Now, it won't look as good as a regular show, but at least that was basically what I could have done. But it doesn't have that anymore. I don't know. Maybe Google and YouTube are fighting. So I had to go through OPS, and I had it all set up, just like you normally see on the Instacast with the boxes, and and I was bringing in Shooter, and Shooter was actually going to be animated, from Shooter Shoots, previously known from Shooter and Stash. And he was going to be animated. It was going to be really cool. But for some reason, when I went to window capture and I clicked on Google Chrome, it wouldn't pull it over to OPS. I don't know if like it's an older program or it's my laptop or I just don't know what happened. So um, again, it's just going to be me. So I will try to pay attention to the chat. I will also just sort of go over offense, defense, that sort of thing. Um, and at the end, I'll go ahead and do a Q&A like I did before. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up YouTube on my phone. There we go. Well, that's pretty quick. All right. 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 Okay. Well, there he is, Shooter in the studio. Technology and you don't mix. Technology and I don't mix. All right, so I'll give it one more minute. Let some more people get in here. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I just gave a very long explanation why I am solo again tonight, and it didn't sort of work out. So watch the beginning of the video if you care enough about it to do that. I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to give it to like 10:20, and we'll go ahead and start. So it's less than 2 minutes away. Less than 2 minutes away. I was really looking forward to having someone to bounce off of. Hopefully my voice doesn't give out this time. That'll be cool, huh? Less than a minute. What's in the cup? Just water. Just water. Just water. I've had my my Tipsy Wren pod for the year already. That was a mess. No, it's water, man. All right. Counting down to 10:20. Let some more people get in here. And of course, I'll cut this all out. You know, where we're going. All right, I'm just gonna start. 24 people. That's enough. Wow, I can't believe there's 24,000 people in here. Welcome to the Pewtercast Instacast, everybody. This is Ren Dax, Brent again, and this is the last time this year. I promise you that he is driving back from Tampa Stadium. He's probably about halfway home by now, or maybe he's pulling into his driveway. Who knows? Brent's on his way home, and I am going solo. It all set up where Shooter shoots from previously from Shooter in the Stash. Was going to be on with me, and he was going to be animated, and you couldn't go through Hangouts anymore on YouTube, so I put it all through OPS, and then he got on, and we got I got him on like at 9:30, and as soon as I tried to bring him over, it wouldn't work. Tried to figure it out, called Brent, it just wouldn't work. So you got me again, and I apologize for the second Instacast all by myself. So let's get into it. The first thing that sort of strikes me in watching this team so far There's a lot of good, so I don't want to be negative. I know that this one was heartbreaking. This one was so heartbreaking, and this is the reason why. Because there's two ways that Bucks fans needed for the Buccaneers not to lose football games this year. You know, we had sort of these two superstitions and things hanging over our head. One was when the game counted, Jameis Winston didn't do something stupid, throw an interception, take a bad sack, to do something that lost us the game. Well, we got to do that week one. And what was the other one? We all know what it is. It's that a kicker loses a game for us. And in a span of 3 games, we have figured out, or the Bucks have figured out a way to lose 2 of those games exactly that way. Uh, the Giants score, they're up by 1, we get the ball, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, like, really, we just kind of have to get it a little bit across the 50, because I've seen in training camp Matt Gay like kick it from like the skull. Like, I've seen him make a field goal like from the skull, with everybody lined up. It wasn't just practice, everybody lined up, making it from the skull. So his distance is crazy. Uh Jameis rolls out, gets a 1, 2 yard gain or gets sacked around there. Then he hits Chris Godwin. That's good. And then I'm looking up. I'm like, we need like 10, 15 yards. I know where the green line is, but with Matt Gay, we need like 10, 15 yards. We're actually going to get a shot at this. And then he hits that bomb to Mike, and it's like, holy cow, he did it. All the things that, the naysayers of Jameis Winston and the national pundits, and, about throwing the ball away and being silly. And the Giants played 1-1 with Mike. He took the shot. He got it. We got down there. Game over, but it didn't happen. Now we know, if you've listened to Bruce Arians, that Gay has trouble kicking from the right hash mark. Who else had trouble kicking from the right hash mark? We know it was Aguayo. He kept setting up on the right hash mark and missing it wide right. Like not every time, but every time he missed it, he would sit up on the right hash, and he'd want to be there. Like, they would put it on the right hash for him, and he would miss it. So here's what I don't understand. Why don't you put it on the left hash mark? Like, if you're going to miss it right, just give that extra yard over. I know that they probably want him, and he probably said yes, put it in the middle. But if your bugaboo, what we heard from, BA is, 35 to 41, 42, somewhere in there, right hash mark, that's where he's got the yips. So if you're gonna take a play and move it from the right hash mark, just go to the left. Just go to the left, because that just gives you, that much more room for error. But just it's hard not to really sort of blame Matt Gay for this one. And it's hard to take a football game and go, this one play did it. But and I don't like to do that, and I've talked about it for alternate timelines. Well, if he would have made that kick earlier and we would have lost by 2, then we would have made that, we'd have won. Well, that's not how it works, because as soon as he misses, the whole timeline of the game changes. But when it is the last play of the game, like, it hangs on you. No matter what you coulda, shoulda, woulda done previously, it doesn't, and that timeline would have changed the way the teams would have played and acted, and gone for it on 4th down, or, instead of the Bucks heavily running, and, in the 4th quarter, they would have passed more if they were behind, like, all that sort of stuff, all that kind of goes out the window, and he missed a kick, and that's why it was so heartbreaking. I was so excited when Mike Evans got that ball and got down there, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was walking around the restaurant, you know, like this, and I'm just walking in circles. Like, I could not believe he missed that kick, and I was so mad at him. But I'm over it now. I came home. I jumped in bed. I had Cheryl, hug me, hug up on me, give me some backy rubbies. I was there for a good 10, 15 minutes, and then I got up and I go, okay, I got to do this pod. So that's where we're at. So let's recap and what I think of this game, and what I saw was good, what I saw was bad, or what I think is good, or what I think is bad, and sort of going forward. I mean, Jameis. I mean, the offense. Like, what are you gonna say? They scored every time they had the ball in the first half. They put up 28 points. Obviously, should have 30, obviously. Uh, but they put up 28 points every time they got the ball. They scored three of them touchdowns. It's not like it was one touchdown and four field goals. Like they got three touchdowns, two field goals. Uh, the Giants can't cover. Um, Jameis was smart with the ball. Rojo looked really good in the second half running. Um, and I know a lot of people are sort of banging on the play calling, and I felt that way too, especially in the third quarter. It felt like they either ran the ball or took a shot deep. It was either like 60 yards or we run the ball. The middle of the field, OJ Howard disappeared in the third quarter. Mike Evans disappeared in the third quarter. Chris Godwin really wasn't, a factor. He was a factor, but he wasn't as big of a factor as he's been because he had a big first down catch, of course, the catch to get him, before the big pass to Mike Evans to get him down for the potential winning, game winner. And he had one or two catches there. Again, that when Jameis threw it short, we needed that first down. He fought for those extra yards. But I don't know what the defense was giving him. I don't know if it was just Jameis getting used to this offense. You have to something that I'm not sure BA's figured out yet, or maybe he has, is that Jameis is literally going to do what you ask him to do. Like he is literally going to do that. That's why he's taking these sacks when he can run. Because BA has told him, we heard it in the Steelers game, the first preseason game. Hey, what do you think about Jameis's awareness? He got out of that sack and ran for a first down. And BA goes, well, I'd rather have him have his eyes up and throw the ball. Well, guess what Jameis has done? He'll get out of trouble, stay in the pocket, eyes up, look, and look downfield. There was many times today where he could have just taken off and got what he needed. All BA has to do is go to Jameis and go, hey, you're taking too many sacks on the coverage sacks. I know that I want you to keep your eyes out. Just say, you know, when it feels right, go get what you can get. That's all I have to say. And Jameis will decide from there and just leave it alone from that. I would rather you look your eyes downfield, but hey, there comes a time where you're not going to, you don't have all day. You got to make a break for it. He did it one time in the Panthers game, got a big first down. Besides that, he didn't have very many. I don't think he had any really scrambles for any positive yards in today's game. Um, so that and the one play that I really did not like is when they threw that sort of screen pass out of the backfield to Cam Brate, uh, because they knew what was going to happen. What was going to happen was either Cam was going to be wide open and he was going to get like 10, 12 yards, or the cornerback was going to be there and they were going to meet up right around the sticks. Now, in order, this is my order of people that you throw that ball to that need to get that tough extra yard. In order, it goes Chris Godwin, Dare Ugumwale, Ronald Jones, Rondé Barber. You can flip those back and forth. OJ Howard, Mike Evans, Jameis throwing to himself, and then Cam Brate. Like it just wasn't. It was a nice play design. I'm not upset about the play design. I'm upset about the person they picked to possibly have to get that yard, because if it was pretty much those top three guys, like Dare was going would make the guy miss or run over him or get there. Chris Godwin, when we saw it, and I've talked about it twice already. The first down catch that was short, and he fought for it and wiggled past and got a first down, and up getting like an extra. With us falling, he got like close to 5 extra yards past the sticks. Um, so that was sort of my only um, thing about the play calling. I try not to get too upset about it because I know these guys have a plan, and I don't know what was called. I don't know what was checked off, and I don't know what the defense was doing to make Jameis either throw it there, throw it deep, or the run play. I know a couple of people I saw, Rojo ran us down there. Our last field goal, Rojo ran us down there. It was 3rd and 2, and all of a sudden Rojo was out, and they gave it to Barber, and he got stuffed. Rojo wouldn't have got that either. They just made a good play. It was, you know, that side of the line just kind of got folded in, and well, maybe Rojo had no speed to break it on the outside, but uh, I don't really think it was Barber, and I can't really blame the play calling because they were running it. They were running it fine. It was just the Giants. The Giants made a play. Um, OJ Howard showed up. Everyone who has Mike Evans on their fantasy team, at least they were happy about that today. Mike Evans showed up. I mean, the Giants' defense was pretty much as advertised. Like, they're okay against the run. They're terrible against the pass, and they run a pretty similar defense, at least scheme wise, to what the Bucs do. It's like they're going to bring pressure, and they're going to leave their corners one on one a lot more than a lot of other teams. And Jameis saw it with Mike Evans, and he just picked it off. Jameis was surgical in the first half, man. It was boom, 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 boom. You know, um, like I said, OJ Howard was back. Uh, but again, those they just sort of that shell shock that happened first play of the second half, touchdown. You know, Bucks don't do much, punt it away, and they get a drive and they go down, touchdown. Of course, one of those drives where if Carlton Davis gets another penalty on 3rd down to extend the drive, I don't know what I'm going to do. Um, Look, I like Carlton. I think he's our best cover corner. I think he's our stickiest corner. I think he's gotten some really crappy deals. He's gotten jobbed a lot so far this year. I really do. But it's just 3 games in a row now where he has had at least one time where he's had a penalty on 3rd down to continue drives. Um, I don't remember if the one from San Francisco ended up being that long touchdown one or not. Uh, but the ones he did against Carolina, um, got him down to the goal line. He had 2 in that play, and then the Giants was on that actually ended up scoring. Their back-to-back touchdowns. Basically when they were 3 and out. So not Carlton's best game. They're going to have to figure something out with him, coach him up, or maybe the refs are starting to lighten up. I heard that some pregame show. The rules committee was like, look, the refs have to start calling more of these holding penalties because guys are holding, like they're holding. Um, but it got so bad those first, 2 weeks that games were almost unwatchable. Um, because there was a flag like all the time and all the drives are being stalled. And I remember last year, with the falling on the quarterback and late hits and roughing the quarterback and touching their helmet and all that stuff. Like I remember the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like it was really frustrating football to watch back then. So I'm ready for them to, you know, uh, rear back a bit on their penalty calling. Um, but yeah, like something's got to get with Carlton Davis. He's got to change. He just has to change a little bit of the way he plays, or or I don't know. I'm not sitting there saying pull him out, but it's just it was just frustrating again to see Carlton Davis do that again for the 3rd game in a row of 3 games. So I know I said on the last pod that I thought Jordan Whitehead was going to be the star, but it looked like they sort of switched him and Edwards up, and Edwards was a guy that was maybe because he's a little faster. It seemed like Edwards was the guy who was sort of in charge of Barkley. Whenever Barkley was out on a little swing pass or trying to get around the outside, it looked like Edwards was there a lot. So he had a good game with that. I know with Barkley going out, we still lost. It's very disappointing. Um, but also Edwards sort of you could lay some of the blame at Edwards' feet as well. He had a pick that probably would have went for a touchdown. It would have been a foot race between him and Jones is fast, but he was in the middle of the field and so had plenty of room to at least stretch the angle out as much as possible before he had to become one on one with Daniel Jones, and maybe Daniel Jones might have been on the ground. I don't know. But the ball just hit him right in the face mask. He jumped the route beautifully, and he just put his hands up late, and the ball just hit him right in the face mask and bounced off his face mask and hands, and he dropped it. And then, of course, the first play of the second half, yeah, Todd Bowles warned him about it, like, bad angles, man. You can't take bad angles against Barkley. Well, he wasn't in, but he took a bad angles against Ingram. Um, and he just missed him. It's he was kind of caught in no man's land. It's one of those things like you see an outfielder. It's like, do I dive and give up, a double here, or do I dive and possibly make an out, or do I let it hit the ground and give up a double? And that was sort of what Edwards was thinking, and he dove and he missed, and the double went to the wall and got stuck under the pad, and the center fielder dropped it twice, and then missed the cutoff man, and the guy went all the way around the bases. Is what happened. So, Edwards had a good game, bad game. Vernon was sort of, they didn't throw at Vernon a lot. See, when they did, they made a lot of completions. Again, if Vernon in the route can keep the receiver between him and the sidelines, like, he's nails. He's really good. But when they're doing crosses or slants or deep posts, we saw that long one, deep post. He's just not nearly as good as he was. Um, but you got to give Daniel Jones some credit. Um, he was pinpoint. I mean, he was throwing. Daniels was throwing dimes. You could really see it on that. Was it the second touchdown? I think the second touchdown to Shepard. Yeah, the Shepard, the one where they went back to back touchdowns right after halftime. The one to Shepard. I mean, he had to put that ball like in between the sidelines and Vernon Hargraves, and Vernon had good coverage. Like, he got lost a little bit at the line of scrimmage. Uh, but he closed the gap up, and there was about a space, about a there's like it was a wombat. I used to bullseye with my TX13 back home. It was about the size of a wombat, the size of an exhaust port, and he put it right in there. And Sterling Shepard made a really good catch and scored a touchdown. So, but then late in the third and the fourth, the pressure started. The defensive pressure finally started to get to Daniel Jones. It's like he didn't even notice it was there the first 2.5 quarters. It's like he didn't know any better. They're buzzing all around him, but plus he got really lucky too. There's a couple times like his arm was hit and it was still like a complete pass, like an on target. Like, he couldn't follow through, get hit in the shoulder. Um, so going back on it, I just don't know, because it looked like to me. If any of you watched the Georgia Notre Dame game, Notre Dame's complete offense the entire night was just sort of these crosses with the tight end. You know, um, Doing like 5, 7 yard crosses and hitting him in stride, and him be able to turn up the field. And if he gets tackled right away, okay, well, you're seven, you fall forward, it's a first down, 12 yards, stuff like that. If he breaks one, he goes to the house, all that. So it seems like that's kind of all what they had. But they got to talk about, something you got to figure out and coach them up. That's 3 weeks in a row where the tight end killed the defense. Um, and, I know some of it came in zone, so it's not like, I was a little worried about Minter's coverage, and he looked fine to me. Levante David seemed to sort of be the one, that wasn't be able to keep up when it was man to man on these crosses with Evan Ingram. But it was, that's what they had, and we just couldn't stop it. And even though George Kittle didn't have a touchdown or a lot of yards, but he had like 9 catches, and a lot of third downs were converted into first downs with these crossing routes to Kittle. Greg Olson was about the only big plays the Panthers have, was like those three, seam routes to Greg Olson, tight end. And then, after Barkley went out, which the Bucs, another great game plan by Bowles for keeping Barkley under wraps. I don't know what his final numbers were, but he couldn't have had, I doubt he had 3 yards per carry average. It might have been, less than two. And he didn't do much in the passing game. When he got the ball, they were right there. So that was really nice to see. But something needs to be done about tight ends, because it seems to be sort of the weak link and Achilles heel. And anytime you need a play, it's 3rd and 5. I need something like find the tight end in the middle of the field because he's going to be open and he's going to get some yak as well. Um, but besides that, I mean, Shaq Barrett, I can't believe he got 3 sacks again and a forced fumble. I just, I was not expecting that. Brent asked me at the end, or when we were doing, I think the Buck in the News show, was it the Buck in the News? No, or the email show, one of the two. And he's like, "Do you expect to see this again?" And somebody sort of asks the realm of that to be in the press conference. He's like, "No, offenses are going to start chipping him, double teaming him, putting a tight end over there, bringing a back out, putting the back over there." And I kind of agreed with him. It was like one of those things where you see these players that get, they'll have 11 sacks on the year, but they get like 5 of them against some guy they just dominate. They get to play twice a year in their division. So, really they get 5 in 14 games and they get like the other 6 in those 2 games. It's just kind of the way that goes with some players. And I thought maybe that's just the way it's going to with Shaq Barrett. But, again, he showed up big. I thought the defense brought pressure um, the whole game. Like I said, Daniel Jones is immune to it for like 2.5 quarters. Like he didn't even realize it was there. Um, but it finally started to get there. It's weird. I have an overall feeling that I thought the defense played well. I really do. It was a couple of big plays. The one to Hart, the guy that Hargraves was covering comes to mind. Of course, the Ingram one. And that's really about it. And they had to sort of march and trud their way down the field. Now, the first half, the defense could not get off the field on 3rd down. Couldn't do it. Like they just could not get off the field to save their life on 3rd down. I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. I think 2 times it was because of penalty. Um, but the Bucs would shut down Barkley, and then they get like a pass for 5, 6 yards, and be 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, and they convert. And it's just like, okay, okay, and it was a little frustrating. So like I said, I haven't watched the game. Obviously, I haven't watched the game again, so I'm not really sure about how the Giants scored 31 points. Or 32 points. I just don't know how it happened. I don't know. And again, the offense was. I thought the offense was really good. It was nails. I know a lot of people again are going to talk about the play calling. In the 3rd quarter, which I can understand. It felt like it was either going deep or a run. But in the 4th quarter, when they committed to the run, they drove it all the way down the field. And the 4th quarter started, and I was just like, all right, like that was a really weird, hectic 4th quarter. I'm feeling really anxious. Just take a breath. Like we're up by 3. The Giants can't cover anybody. Like, let's get back to using the middle of the field let's start throwing back to Mike. Let's start throwing back to OJ and just sort of march down the field and punch it in. Let's go home. They decided to do is run the ball down the field. And there was that 3rd and 2 where Barber came in, I talked about earlier, and we had to kick a field goal. But, I was fine with it. I'm like, okay, that's what the offense had to do. And they regrouped and did it. And then I think the only other time they got the ball they only had the ball in the 4th quarter like 2 more times. One was the play to, the 3rd down play to Cameron Brate that if he would have got that 1st down would have ended the game. And then, the 3 plays to get him down to like 13, 9-yard line, wherever Evans got down to. Uh, so it's just, it just, I remember feeling like this last year where, you watch a football game and you keep seeing all these possessions by all these other teams, and then the Bucks play, and it's like we only got like 4 possessions in the first half. Like, how is that possible? It just seems like we don't have the ball enough. And that was mostly because the defense couldn't get the Giants off the field. Even though they only scored 10 points, um, you know, there wasn't a lot of 3 and outs. So, um, I guess overall, to recap, I don't like who had a bad game. Like, let's think about it. I guess you could say Carlton Davis had a bad game, had a penalty at a crucial time. Maybe Vernon, he did give up the deep pass. Maybe Mike Edwards, but it was more, of dropping interception and missing he was sort of the last man standing on the Evan Ingram thing. But besides that, who had a bad game? Uh, I thought Vea, was always pushing the center back, and Sue was in there. I thought Nassib put a lot of pressure on. Of course, Shaq Barrett obviously put a lot of pressure on. I haven't seen the press conferences because I was trying to get this to work. Um, but I want to sort of find out what happened when Daniel Jones ran the ball. The seas parted and Daniel Jones ran the ball right up the middle. Because if there was a stunt, there's either miscommunication or somebody didn't finish their stunt because Vea stunted, towards the inside and no one looped back to his hole, which would have been right where Daniel Jones would have tried to ran. I don't know if someone got hung up or Vea, thought he heard the wrong thing or he was freelancing. I really need to find out an explanation on that. And again, that still didn't lose you the game. So overall, very frustrating just because as a fan, and especially these, sort of the Lovey Smith dirt cutter years as a Buccaneers fan, you've seen so many times the quarterback and the kicker lose you games, and we're only 3 games in, and we've seen it again. And let's be fair. I mean, if Carolina punches that in, Thursday night, that was another game you could have put on Matt Gay. You remember he missed another field goal, and we would have lost. If Jameis didn't drive down and get us a field goal shot, but we would have lost what 21-20, whatever or whatever the score was. So they were down by 6. So we would have lost like 21-20, and gave us a field goal earlier. So he's not having a very good start. It just sucks. It just sucks so bad because we can't lose this way. Like it's just so disheartening and heartbreaking. Well, I've been talking about I don't know, about a half hour, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to the chat. Again, I apologize for not having a guest on. I talked about it earlier. Um, you can go back and hear about that. Of course, I'm going to capture this audio and throw it on the pod. But if anyone has questions about something they saw or has something that I've talked about that you know um, they disagree with, you know, not necessarily to agree with what I said. I haven't looked at the chat at all. I know it's been going off. Uh, are we going to be able to keep Shaq? Well, that's something I'm not going to worry about right now, honestly. Shaq as a person, I would like to know more about him. He could be a guy. If he continues this, I think the Bucks are going to offer him, an extension somewhere during the year. And if he's the type of person that feels that the Buccaneers gave him his shot, and he'll, quote unquote, take a little bit of a discount. If he thinks a fair market value, then and the Bucks can get there, then and he's happy with the Bucks for giving me a shot and he likes it here, then he'll take it. Or and this is just as fine. I'm not saying he's a bad person. Or he can have this great year and go out and cash in big, and the Bucks may or may not be able to pay him. So that's we'll see if we'll be able to keep Shaq. Why is Bobo blown up every punt return? Well, one, because he doesn't call fair catch, and two, he had a bad day returning punts. I like Bobo as a returner. He's very decisive, puts his foot in the ground, makes his cut and go. But even the times when you know people weren't right on top of him when he caught it, he looked very hesitant. And you know, one time he hesitated and made one cut and made it cut. He made the cut right into where the guy was blocking, and he got blown up there too. And he got blown up on the first one. And I thought he was fine. I'm not really worried about the punt return game. I like Bobo back there. Uh, earlier. All right, I got a question, Ren. I was pissed earlier, but I think the culture is changing. What do you think? Yeah, well, this was a sort of a test for it. A game that the Buccaneers were supposed to win. They go out and win, and they didn't. But it wasn't because the offense didn't show up, and it wasn't because the defense didn't play well. It was just sort of it was because of the kicker. Look, the defense gave up more points than I thought they were going to. Daniel Jones was hella accurate, and if he stays that accurate throughout his NFL career and throughout the year, the Giants are going to win some games. They just are. Like his accuracy was really top notch. I don't think there was a couple busted coverages. But I thought the defense played well. I thought they put a lot of pressure. They had 3 sacks, 4 sacks, a forced fumble, fumble recovery. Um, I thought I still don't I still can't figure out how they scored 32 points. But yeah, I'm fine with it. And I need really to see BA's presser to see how I feel about it, sort of, and watch his pressers throughout the week how I do this. I did hear on the radio, TJ Reeves got with Jameis, and he was very to the matter of fact, sort of on point about what he was saying, and it wasn't normal like happy Jameis, and it was just like, he's like, "Hey, you found Mike Evans." He goes, "Well, if one-on-one with Mike Evans, he's hard to beat." And that was it. Like, he was not giving any extras. He wasn't giving excuses. He was basically, he knows he's the quarterback of the team and he has to give interviews in the locker room. So he gave them, but he wasn't sort of having it, I guess is the best way to put it. So, you know, uh, I do feel like it's changing, but it's too early for me to get on that boat simply because this is a game that we should have won going into it. Like, we should have won. Like, we should have won this game like 30-17, you know, 35-24, something like that. It shouldn't have been close, and somehow we found a way to make it close. Like, it was weird. It was just, but that's how it happens. His coaching staff is to blame today. That must be someone who's upset with the play calling, and possibly the where they took, yeah. And if you're taking the intentional lane to move it back, then move it all the way to the left hash. If the guy can't kick on the right hash between a certain distance or mark, or you're not comfortable, then move it all the way to the left. Just do it. Just move it all the way to the left. All the way to the left. Back into the left. Back into the left. Just move it to the left. Uh did the Bucks blitz Jones either when the Bucks not effective other than Barrett? I'd have to look at it again. I was at a busy restaurant, and a lot of people were watching. A lot of people were decked out in San Francisco in Steelers gear, so a lot of people were watching that. So it was hard to hear what was going on. I wasn't really dialed in as much as I would. So I wasn't, I couldn't really catch about who was blitzing, who was not blitzing, and things like that. I was just sort of dumbfounded that, you know, uh, Daniels just kept making these throws, to be honest. Uh, why did they act Scotty Miller today and not playing? Well, yeah, people made kind of a big deal about that on Twitter. Hey, Scotty Miller's active. The reason Scotty Miller's active is because, excuse me, I'm sorry, is because 4 people are hurt, and then you don't activate 2 of your linemen, so that makes 6, and that only leaves one other guy, and it was basically like Miller or Hudson or another guy, double A, uh, Andrew Adams. So Adams is going to play because that'd be the forced safety, even though they went without him last week. Um, and then so it was between Scotty Miller and Hudson, and Miller, I guess, could do more stuff, or could get in there and maybe get a deep ball, or maybe play Jamal Dean's sort of gunner with his speed. But Tanner Hudson's the fourth tight end, and he wasn't going to get in front of OJ Howard or Cam Brate or Austin O'Clair. And if one of those guys got hurt, they still had people there. So I just, you know, eh, they activated Scotty Miller because other people were hurt, not because it was time to bring Scotty Miller up to see what he could do. Mhm. So when do we make a real push for Ramsey? I hate you, Eric. Any hope left for the season? Of course, there's hope left for the season. Don't get like that. I understand that it's heartbreaking, but I mean, yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna say we'll be fine, but yeah, there's hope for this. It's not over with. It's not over with yet because even though the Saints had an impressive win today, went to Seattle and won. That's hard to do against Russell Wilson in that group. But I'm not sure. I haven't seen the Atlanta game, but they're losing most of it if they end up winning. And the Panthers won. Rookie quarterback put up 35 points. But we said all the time, it's a week to week league. But would you rather face the Panthers with the backup quarterback, and you would rather face the Saints with Teddy Bridgewater? And would you rather face the Falcons with Matt Ryan throwing averaging 2 picks a game? It's just it's the South is open. We are not the front runners. We're not the odds-on favorites, but the NFC South is open. It's even if eh, even if the Falcons won, we're still just one game out of first place. And we haven't we haven't lost any division games. We're fine. We're fine. The culture hasn't changed. We're still losers. Okay, that's nice. Hey, Ren, how do you feel about 14 seconds, one timeout around the 10, and not trying another play possible to give the knockout blow? I liked going for the field goal. It was just a smart. It was a smart play. It was. It just didn't work out. That was the smart play. I know you had the timeout, but it was a smart play. It was. Um, Just that's it. I can make that field goal. I can make that field goal. So it was a smart play. Um, Ren, that's the worst receiving core we'll see all season. How do we not trade for Ramsey? Well, one, because we can't afford him. Two, the defensive backs weren't terrible. It was the people that where the yards came. Mostly it was from the linebackers. Like there wasn't there wasn't a lot of completions against Vernon. I know he gave up the deep one. Okay, so he gives up one deep ball, and we need Ramsey. I know that it's been rough watching Carlton Davis because of the penalties. I get it, but I think he's doing fine. I haven't seen the safeties make any blunder. It's been the tight ends. The only person that's hurt us in all three games has been the tight ends. A big play by a receiver in this game, a big play by a receiver in the San Francisco game. Two plays. That's it. It's not like no one's doing what Mike Evans did against the Giants today. Like Chris Godwin went for gone over 100. I think he went over 100 both games and two touchdowns. No one else is doing that against us. It's fine. Plus, when you bring in Ramsey, so you're I don't want to say waste, but you're giving up a draft pick for him, but then you have to pay him. So Greg Allman said this. So putting like a draft pick and money into one person isn't sort of the way to go and how to build a team. If Ramsey's the one person you need to go to the Super Bowl, then go and get him, you know? Or if you know that there are some spots where you don't need a first rounder next year, where, like you have to have a really good roster. Like the Falcons have a really good roster. The Saints have a really good roster. The Patriots, doesn't matter what their roster is, it's always really good. So I just don't think, and Jalen Ramsey wants to get paid, and if the Bucs can't pay him, which they might not, because he's going to end up being the most expensive player on your defense, with having to sign these rookies, all these rookies that they've drafted on that side of the ball coming up. Uh, it just doesn't work out for us. Will he make our team better? Yes, he will. But it can put us in a big hole. And then if we can't sign him because he wants to be like the highest paid defensive player in the league, uh, if you can't sign him, then you've blown a first round draft pick, maybe another pick, maybe two first rounders, maybe a first round draft pick and another good player. Like it's just something that I'm not interested in it. I don't think we need him. Do you think the game ended right away? Meaning, should we have taken a couple shots before kicking? No, I don't mind. I don't mind what they did. If he has a bugaboo be on the right hash again, like I don't mind that play moving it over. I just would have moved it all the way over to the left. That doesn't mean he would have made it. That was just my thinking. I'm like, okay, they're moving it to the left hash, and they only moved it over a little bit. I'm like, that's not what I would have done. But it doesn't mean just because if you go all the way left doesn't mean he would have made it. Like I don't. It's just I don't think they should have taken a shot. I just don't. It's the smart play. That's the play. He missed the kick. He missed the kick. It's not anyone's fault. He missed the kick. This guy know what he's talking about. Thanks. Kind of missed where he was there. Um, Falcons lost. Okay, good. Let's see. Um, all right, I'm just gonna get a couple more. I'm kind of losing the chat here. This guy's know what he's talking about. Okay. Perriman did play well, he did. It was kind of what happened. It's funny because it's kind of what happened during training camp. Like I thought Perriman was pretty much invisible all training camp, and then or asked Byron Leftwich about it. Byron Leftwich said, you know, um, I thought Perryman's had a great camp, and I go to the next practice, and Jameis throws him like 9 balls, and he catches them all. It's like, oh, there he is. And this sort of happened again. It's like he had 10 targets with 2 catches, and people are like, he dropped the touchdown against Carolina, and people are like, "What? Why is he here? Why is he here?" And then he gets support from his offensive coordinator. He comes out and has a good game. So I'm not really shocked by that at all. How did I feel about Perriman's game? Just went over. I thought it was fine. I thought he did great. He made a tough catch. He showed up. Um, Knocked down a ball that should have been an interception. Clean up the mistakes. 1-5. The Bucs are going to be okay. The following. Take breath, folks. All right, I'm going all the way down to the bottom of chat. I'm going to read a couple more games. And okay, next question I read is going to be the last one. And this is why I need a co-host. So you don't have me mumbling into the mic where I'm trying to find a question that I can talk out loud to. That doesn't make any sense. I can answer. There we go. All right. Okay, that's it. I don't see another question, so I'm just if you have one, just go ahead and type it in. What do you think of Rojo today? Last question. There we go. I thought Rojo was great. At the beginning of, and then I'll answer your question, Dub, and then I'm done. I thought Rojo. Okay, back up. Sorry. Before the season started, if someone asked me what the rotation at the backfield was going to be and who your starting back was, it said starting back is Peyton Barber. He deserves to be the starting back, and he's going to get 70, 75, 80% of the carries. You know, if Rojo does good, maybe by the end of the season, it'll be down to 60, 65. Then I started hearing these rumblings from people that, know Bruce Arians, and they're saying that the Bucs want Rojo to be the guy. Not that Peyton's done anything wrong. They're just like, we spent a second round pick on him. We need to see what happens. And they spent all off season building up his confidence. And he looked really good in training camp. And he's looked, very good. He hasn't been a Kamara or, McCaffrey week 1 or a Barkley, but he's looked good. He's run tough between the tackles. There's been a play where he's like that close and to breaking a big one. That screen pass. A couple of big plays. That's totally forgot about that screen pass. And I think there was another play later on that he did where it was another screen pass or a nice run. So I think Rojo's doing great, and it's nothing but up for Rojo, honestly. And now somebody asked me, who the starting running back is and what should be rotation or what should be, sort of the split. I'm saying Rojo. Not that Peyton's done anything wrong, but you can just see when Rojo runs the ball, there's just that little extra spark, and he just gives you more when he has the ball in his hands. He can do more things. So I would say Rojo, and I would like to see Rojo have the ball like 65% of the time as of right now. And I think as the season goes on, that number is going to go up. Like it's going to completely flip. By the end of the year, so Rojo deserves to start, and he should get 80% of the carries. Like that's how it's going to be. And then let's see, what was that last question? Oh, the game plan against the Rams. I think that was it. All right, the game. This last one, guys. Game plan against the Rams. Well, let me think about this. Uh, what are the Rams? What are we gonna do against the Rams? Defensively, like I don't really think you got to worry about Todd Gurley too much. They're sort of. I think he's on a pitch count. I don't care what Sean McVay says. Uh, you know, every time he gets tackled, it looks like he's hurt. Um, you know, but they have lots of weapons. They have a good tight end, a big tight end that can catch the ball, do some things after the catch, as in just sort of like run over people. The receiving core all seem to be, I think they're all small, but they're all fast. They all can catch. They got, Cups of really promising and exciting slot receiver. They got Woods, and I know they got somebody else. So it's going to be a big test. I think the game's going to be closer to this game than the Panthers game. but Todd Bowles is going to have something for the Rams again. Like he's gonna take something away. He's gonna bring pressure. He's gonna bring pressure. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna bring pressure, and it's what we saw today. You're gonna bring pressure. Sometimes it's gonna work. Sometimes it's not. And at the end of the game, we're gonna have the ball, or the Rams are gonna have the ball, and there's gonna be 2 minutes left, and it's gonna be within one score, and somebody's gonna have to stop somebody and go. And I think that's gonna be it. I think it's the score is gonna be close. We're gonna be close. I think the Rams have good pieces on defense. I don't think they've really gelled with it yet. I think we can run the ball against that defense. Is Errol Donald going to make his stops? Yes. Is he going to get a sack? Probably. He's probably going to get a sack. So I'm not. It's with this defense and how the offense is progressing. I understand the Giants are a terrible defensive team, but that's what you do against terrible defensive teams. You score every time you have the ball. This defense is going to keep us in like 14 out of 16 games. There's going to be a game or two, and you might even include this one. That the offense is going to sort of have to show up and trade punches with somebody, go score for score. Uh, Maybe something like the Saints Texans game, week 1. Something like that. But there's no more of this like 35 nothing, 35-10 at halftime. Like there's none of this is going to happen anymore. So if as Jameis learns this offense more, as Jameis, hopefully decides to run a little more, and just because he sees one-on-one on the outside, you don't have to throw it 50 yards. Every time you see the one on the outside, it's okay. It's okay to take the check down, or Howard cross the middle, or Godwin cross in the middle, or Perriman. Like you don't have to throw it deep to Mike every time he has one on one. So, um, if it's good. That's how it's gonna go. And when that works, when that starts to click, you're gonna see this. We're gonna be in every. We just are. We're gonna be in every game. I know it's a heartbreaker, and I know these two games are the worst two ways as Buck fans that we could possibly lose. But this is not the same. It's not the same. It's the same guys mostly, but it's not the same. It's not the same team. It's just not. Like they're going to be in it. They're going to compete. They're tackling well. They're getting to the passer. They're running the ball well. You know, receivers are getting open. Like everything's fine. It was just really freaking weird. And this is what happens. And I know it's been so long for us, but this is what happens when you're, a good, like, a 9-7, 8-8 team to like a 12-4 team. Like these are the games you play every week. It's gonna come down to one score, and you have to stop somebody or you got to go score. Like this is get used to this type of game, 'cause this is what it's going to be. We're not gonna get blown out, and we're not gonna blow out a lot of people. Like we're just not. It's like very few teams blow out other teams unless you get to play the Dolphins twice a year. Like the Dolphins aren't very good. The Bills aren't very good. The Jets aren't very good. People keep throwing the Cardinals in there, but the Cardinals they keep scoring points. So I mean, they're staying in games as of right now. The Chargers are having real problems scoring. They're just beat to hell. I'm trying to think who else. The Redskins look like they can't score that well, but but that's really well. The Titans look terrible. And those are sort of the group of teams, like those guys that's going to be like 1 through 10, like those guys. When you go in, you really hope everything goes great, and because if it does, we might have a chance at the end to win the game. We have a chance to win all these games, and it's because we have a defense. And I said this at our last pod, and I'm saying it again, like even though BA was brought in here to quote unquote fix Jameis, the coach that's fixing Jameis is Todd Bowles, because he doesn't have to be Superman every time he touches the ball. And he's been preached that, but you go out there and you look, and you've had the ball twice, the other team's had the ball once, and you've scored 3 points and they've scored 17. You know, they've had it 3 times, you've had it two, and you're down 17-3. And it's like, yeah, just take the check down. It's like, I can't. I can't take the check down because if I take the check down, the next time I get off the bench, it's going to be 24-3. So, having said all that, thanks everybody. I'm gonna pick some music. I don't know what's gonna be. Put it in there. Put it in the chat. What's the song I'm going to go off to? And this will be it for the night. Swear to God, I know I keep saying it, but I almost went an hour by myself. Hope I didn't do bad. Put in there, everyone. Drop in the chat. Drop the song you want to hear. Doesn't have to be appropriate. It can be your favorite. It can be silly. If it's silly, it's not. It's not going on there. But yeah, drop a song there in the chat that you want me to close the pod out to. Teen Spirit. Okay, that's a possibility. Neil L. What is that picture of a Camaro there? I don't know. Can't see. Teen Spirit. Anybody else? LOL. Nope, that's not it. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming in and showing up, and thank you for staying with only just me here. It's a lot tougher, especially to ramble for an hour. I don't know if you guys noticed that when I talk a lot, my mouth fills up with spit, so I sound like Tom Jones. And hopefully we can get you. Yeah. Sorry, shooter. I don't know. Brett and I don't know. I called Brett. Like shooter knew. It didn't work, and I called Brent, and he couldn't figure it out. But he's not sitting here looking at me, so I'm not saying, "Oh, Brent couldn't figure it out." But he's driving home, and I'm on the phone, it just couldn't figure it out. So you got me. All right, Teen Spirit. I guess that's gonna be it. Probably not gonna pick that one. But anyway. All right, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. We will be back at you on Tuesday. We have a special guest. We'll be having TJ Reeves, the guy you listen to, the Bucs sidelines guy on the radio. And if you listen to the radio, he does a lot of the locker room interviews, and he sort of compiles all that stuff. That he gets, all the sound he gets at the end of the game, and he puts it in, and he clips it up and turns it he shouldn't sort of, but yeah, he turns it into a podcast, and it goes up on Buccaneers.com. So back at it. So if you got to go to the game, congratulations. We'll see you in November. Rendax signing off. Muppet Treasure Island song. I hate you, Brent. Yes, I want to end the stream.